Hello and welcome to this week's edition of WCTV Sports Connection Game Day. I'm your co-host, Jeremy Qualls. My co-host, Tate Matthews, is on assignment this week. I'm so proud and happy to have our special guest this week, Joe Critchlow, former quarterback of the Franklin High Rebels. Joe, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, Joe. I've been meaning to get you up here. We have dubbed you all year long the Peyton Manning of the WCS Sports Conference. That's not too bad. I don't know if you're a Peyton fan or not, but your efficiency rating all year long, we've just pretty much dubbed you the Peyton Manning.
Oh, thank you.
Is that okay?
I'll take that.
All right, yeah. Absolutely. Well, let's let everybody know a little bit about yourself first. Middle school, you attended
Grassland Middle School.
Grassland Middle School, played football there all the way through. Attended Franklin High this last year, played for the Doctor of Defense, Donnie Webb, as we like to call him. Let's talk about Franklin High School real quick before we get into your individual stuff. What about the Rebellion? What does the Rebellion mean to you when I say that?
My sister actually went to Franklin High School. She's 4 years older than me, and so I was always very excited to attend Franklin. And sophomore year, when I finally got the nod, started playing quarterback, that's when it really settled in, when I really started to realize how special Franklin was to me. And I had such a great group of friends that all throughout middle school and high school that really made high school very great for me.
Well, I know that you get a close bond with those guys, especially going through the trenches of each year. How many guys, let's say you graduated quite a few seniors this year, so all you guys have grinded it out together, ran out on a good note. Well, somewhat of a good note. We'll talk about that here in a minute, but had a great season. Franklin did go 8-3 this past year, knocking on the door of making a really deep run. We're going to go through those games real quick. First loss of the season came against McGavock, 28-31. We talked about that game. I remember Tate and I covering that game and talking about it the next week. If I'm not mistaken, Corey Fatoni, who's going to Missouri as a kicker, was out that week with an injury that probably changed the outcome of that game.
Yeah, I remember distinctly we had a couple possessions within the 30-yard line that we stumbled on fourth down or that we tried to kick a field goal and missed. And having Corey out that game was very key to the loss, I guess.
So Corey was up for Mr. Football on the kicker's side of things. Is he that big of a difference maker? I mean, obviously, if it's 4th and 3, 4th and 4, you're having to go for it versus an automatic. Was he automatic in those positions?
He was almost automatic, and his greatest impact was definitely in the punting game. I mean, being able to flip the field from 20 to 20 almost every time was a huge blessing, especially for an offense. Just helped our defense out a lot.
Well, you start off the year, Clarksville Northeast, big win, 39-0. Dixon County turned around 49-13. You start off 2-0, got to that first loss that we spoke of, and then ran off 4 big wins to get yourself in position for the big game against Ravenwood. Now, you play Ravenwood 29-36. Ravenwood comes in at that point in time undefeated. Did you realize at that time when you played Ravenwood, that they had the capabilities of being in the state championship game? Did you know that at that time?
I remember going into the game, our team kind of realized that ourselves and Ravenwood were 2 of the most talented teams in the district. And we felt that Ravenwood could make a run from then, yes, for sure. And I feel like the atmosphere and the pressure in that game was probably the greatest that we had all year. I know the Centennial games were very crazy, but the environment for that Ravenwood game, I don't know, there were so many people there.
Remind me, what was that game, at Ravenwood?
It was at Ravenwood, and Centennial actually had a bye, or maybe they had a Thursday night game, because I remember Centennial was there, I think CPA was there, and the crowd was rocking. That was.
It was a fantastic game, and every game that we're going, it's probably the 2 best. It had undoubtedly the 2 best student body sections between Franklin and G2 Bar up at Ravenwood, and you clash in this game, and it's bragging rights on getting yourself poised for the playoffs. And 29-36 loss there, and then you go to Indy. Huge win, 34-33. At that point in time, let me ask you the same question. Did you know that Independence could make a run and was pretty good?
Actually, I think the week before that, or maybe 2 weeks before that, was the Independence Blackman game. And after that game, Independence was kind of put on the map. We all realized how much offensive firepower they had with Bunch at quarterback. And so going into that game, we knew that we had to score a lot of points. And the Independence game, actually, I think they were up 21-3 at one point. We thought we dug ourselves into a pretty big hole. And we were just really worried that we'd be able to stop Bunch. But how gladly our defense started making stops and our offense started moving.
I mean, arguably the 2 best quarterbacks in the conference going at it head-to-head, knowing it's going to be a track meet, offensive. Yeah. Comes down the fourth quarter. Take us through that fourth quarter real quick in the Indy game.
The fourth quarter, I remember that was the most back-and-forth game ever. I remember we turned the ball over, and then we ran a super trick play at the end of regulation and actually fumbled. They got the ball, missed the field goal to win, went to overtime. And that's when we we through, I think it was on 3rd down, we ran the reverse pass and actually caught the touchdown. And then they got it and didn't score their 2-point conversion. So that was a crazy
That
win.
was a pretty big play for you on that particular play, right?
Yeah.
So, and then would take us, you go into the October 31st, and that's Halloween night. You go in, you're playing Centennial, and at this point in time, man, all the cards are on the table.
Right.
Everybody's trying to figure out who's going to play what in the playoffs. 37-34, big victory over there. And then after that game, of course, everybody's waiting for the seedings to come out, and we were afraid with the way it was set up that a WCS conference is going to have to knock somebody out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for you guys, you get the draw of Centennial again. Now, in basketball, it's hard enough to beat people 2-3 times in a season, especially when it's back-to-back and close.
Right.
But in football, I cannot imagine turning around, beating them in the fashion that you did, and then having to play them again.
It's kind of odd how close both of the games were, just because Week 10 was a battle the whole time. It was back and forth, and I remember both offenses played really well, but I remember Week 11 being so similar, how tight it was the entire game. And obviously it was a disadvantage for us, playing them twice in a row. It was really difficult. They almost got our offense down. It was really hard to stop their blitz and everything. But I don't know. It was a difficult matchup, but I felt that we still probably should have came out on top.
Well, it was an unbelievable game, unbelievable run, 8-3 is what you finished out your senior season. Had some unbelievable stats. Let's talk real quick about those stats. We're going to go back to 2013, the first time that Joe Critchlow beats Brentwood High School. You had a touchdown pass to Colton Black. We have that footage. Stay right here. We'll show you. We'll be right back.
So here comes Critchlow, man. I wouldn't be surprised to see some play action right here.
I-form formation, and you said it. And to backside to Black, that's a good way to get him involved in it. Does a great job of making a couple of guys miss, picks up a big block downfield. He's off to the races. I don't think 45 is going to catch him, and he walks into the end zone. Great job by Critchlow. You called it play action, hit him on the backside. He takes it all the way down to the sideline, cuts the backfield with a nice blocking touchdown.
61 yards. It wasn't long, but it was effective. And that is going to give Franklin the lead.
Now, you talked about it, trying to get Black involved in the game. So the running game wasn't making it happen. You got to get the ball in your playmaker's hands, and that's a great way to do it.
And the defensive end was coming hard, 24. And he was totally fooled as everybody else was out in front, and Colton Black does the rest.
Well, you got to think that Coach Donnie Webb, they've been seeing all night both those defensive ends just gunning downfield. They took advantage of it, and Black got some nice blocking, does a great job of running, and he takes that thing to the house.
So take us through that pass, Joe. You throw that pass to Colton Black. You get the victory over Brentwood. I know this is a couple of years ago, but what did that feel like?
I actually remember in practice 2 to 3 weeks prior, we put in that play, and every single time we ran it, it was just a travesty. Every play was either an interception or a incomplete pass or a loss. And I remember in the game when we called it, I was thinking to myself, just, oh my goodness, this is going to be awful. And then, of course, we throw the jailbreak screen. It's touchdown, 60 yards. It ended up getting us the lead. So
and off the air, we were laughing because he made everybody look pretty good in that play right there.
Yeah.
He evaded a couple tackles in there and did some good things. 2014 proved to be an unbelievable year for you. District 11 AAA offensive most valuable player for the year. Congratulations on that. Threw for 2,317 yards and 25 touchdowns for the year. All right, we have footage from one of those passes that you made to Luke Hill against Dixon County. We have footage from that. We'll be right back.
Critchlow going to roll out, plenty of time. Sets his feet. He's got a wide open. I believe that's going to be, that's Luke Hill, I believe, on the reception. Right. When you get that wide open, that ball stays up in the air a little bit long.
That was a nice concentration on Luke's part there. He had to slow it down and collect it.
You know, it's hard, Coach, when you roll out to your left and you have to throw it back across your body.
That's right. Good senior presence of mind right there. Putting it down about 30, 40 yards.
See the receiver at the bottom of the screen already knows
already knew it.
All he had to do was catch it. Luke Hill on the big reception. 60-plus yards.
Luke, careful you don't run out of bounds there, big boy.
Yeah.
So tell us about that rollout pass to Lucas Hill there. Luke Hill, excuse me. I mean, it was just was that a stock play, standard play? What's the call on that?
It was a smash route with a complimentary flag on top of it. It was basically just a safety read. And I remember in practice that week prior, we kind of knew that was a play that we could go to for an easy touchdown, depending on how their defense was set up. So obviously it looks really pretty, but I was really happy.
It was a beautiful pass. You led them all the way, easy touchdown, and for the easy win over Dixon there. Now for your career, 5,700 plus yards and 63 touchdowns. I mean, that's where the Peyton Manning comes into play there, man. That's incredible. Awesome numbers there. In 2014, you ran through and caught a touchdown in one game. You alluded to that earlier in the Indy game. Take us through that play real quick as the call comes in. How does that even? How do you even come up with that play?
We ran it a couple times in practice, and I would say about 20% of the time it worked. But so it was actually 3rd down, I think 12 in overtime. And so I came to the sideline, and Coach Winfrey gave me the reverse pass, and I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, this is going to be crazy. If it works or if it doesn't, this is going to be a really memorable play. And it was senior night. It was overtime. Just a ton of mixed emotions.
Game's on the line.
Yeah, game's on the line. We had Kyle Evans, who's our backup quarterback. We kind of snuck him in at slot to throw the pass. And I remember just handing it, and I remember I was expecting to be wide open because I thought that would how it work. And I remember I was guarded, so I was getting more nervous, and so I had to catch the ball on the sideline. It was a lot of fun.
Unbelievable play. We have footage from that play as well. We'll be right back.
Just inside the 10, maybe about the 8.5. Critchlow has yet to throw in a pass. Grimes, double reverse.
He's going to pass it, looking to pass.
Going to throw to Critchlow.
In the corner, touchdown.
Got it! Evans to Critchlow. Dial it up. Touchdown. Rebels.
He could not have had more than a half a foot to get both of those feet down there on the corner of the end zone. Well, they had everybody shifted over to the left there, and everything was going that way.
Including the D lineman, 54.
And they bid on it.
Joe Critchlow says, I can run it, I can throw it, and I can catch it.
Credit these Franklin receivers. They've definitely held on to the football tonight.
Also during this time frame of 2014, you were the Gateway Tire Player of the Week for Williamson County 3 times in football, not only in football, but 1 time in basketball. You also went on to be the co-winner of the Admiral William P. Lawrence Award. Tell us a little bit about that. It's presented to the top high school scholar athlete in Middle Tennessee. You're the first in WCS history to win that award. Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about that.
It was basically an award. It's built off of athletics and academics, as well as your personality outside the field. And so winning that award is really a testament to what I've been striving to build, not only on the field, but off the field as well. And so I remember you had to send in your resume, and I remember Coach Webb telling me that no one's ever won it, but I was the nominee. And going there and receiving that award is really a special day for me.
So it's not just about stats. It's more of a collective body of, is it some type of community hours, or what all did you have on your resume that you think could have possibly helped you out in that situation?
I had a lot of community hours with my church. I had a lot of, I was actually in a lot of leadership roles at my school, and I got my Eagle Scout as well that year prior. So I felt like all of those things kind of, as well as my athletic achievements, kind of helped my resume.
Well, that's an awesome award. Like you said, you're the first in the history of WCS, so that's something to be proud of as well, on top of all your stats that you had in football. So now let's flip the script a little bit about basketball.
Okay.
So we get into basketball. Now basketball, how do you rank the sports right now? I mean, obviously, I'm sure football's one, basketball too, right, or wrong?
I would say football is one, but I've always loved basketball my whole life. My parents actually enjoy. I know my mom enjoys me playing basketball a lot more, and I love the sport as well.
Well, it's interesting to know you're such a good athlete. How did baseball miss the mix here with Joe Critchlow?
I played baseball all growing up, and in 6th grade I had some sort of tennis elbow with just pitching combined with playing quarterback. And so in 6th grade my dad made me choose to either pitch or play quarterback, and I chose quarterback.
Sure.
So I played outfield all through middle school. Played on the GMS baseball team. We lost in the championship 8th grade, and I was done. I didn't have as much of an interest in just playing in the field versus pitching.
Well, on the basketball side of things, you played for Coach Jamie Wilson at Franklin High. you guys, man, what a run you had in basketball. It was one of those. It's probably for you guys. It was one of those roller coaster years. You'd be up a couple games, come down. I mean, you go to Brentwood and get an unbelievable win against, at that time, head and shoulders the district favorite to win it, and all of a sudden, the door is wide open for Franklin High School to slide in this thing and get second place and make a run. I mean, your team, largest team in the district, in the conference. You got, you're playing alongside Garrison Matthews going to Lipscomb. You've got you, and you've got Booth,
Tanner Spalding, Carson Young.
Yeah, a lot of size there.
9 seniors, so it was,
right. Yeah. A lot of depth, a lot of size. You go into the season, you have an up and down year. I'm looking here over the schedule. Start off 2-0 and then lose 3 straight. Just like I was talking about, it's one of those things. I remember over the Christmas break, going and watching you guys play. You had a tough break there. You played a good solid 3 quarters against Blackman, and then kind of faded, and it's just one of those things. It's tough during that time frame, but the season's broke into three different distinct times. You got your preseason before Christmas, and then after, and then of course you have your postseason, and you have to get yourself poised and ready. So with saying that, let's look at the second half of the season real quick, and you started putting some wins together. You go 3 wins together there against Summit, Independence, and of course the big win at Brentwood. Take us real quick before we go into break about the Brentwood win.
The Brentwood win was really a big win for our school because I know that we hadn't beat Brentwood in basketball since 2010 at the time. All my high school
Not a whole lot of people had.
No. But I remember going to Brentwood that day. Our team all had that sort of sense that we were going to pull out the win. And we started off very hot, and I remember Brentwood actually got a lead in the beginning of the second half, and they went to their 4 corners offense, which they usually do. We were able to stop it like 3 or 4 times and get the game back to competitive and even, which actually gave us a chance, and we started to pull away. And Garrison, of course, had the dunk at the end of the third quarter.
The dunk run around the conference. Oh,
yes. If you actually look at myself and the reaction, I'm so confused and dumbfounded about what it was so exciting.
I think their crowd was too. I tell you what we do. When we come back from break, we'll finish our conversation with Joe Critchlow on basketball, and then we'll get into the Southern Utah Thunderbirds football discussion. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Books by S.R. Lee. Lined up again and again, stacked, straightened, stored, they break rank, twist a bit, slide an inch, swing round, turn their backs, push away, circle, wander to the porch, hide in a corner. How they resist the neat rows humans associate with their work, assume to be their duty. Given a chance, they may be as chaotic as their readers.
Welcome back to WCS Sports Connection Game Day. I'm Jeremy Qualls, and with us is Joe Critchlow. Joe, let's get back into the basketball swing of things real quick. We're going to finish up our discussion on that and go into the Southern Utah Thunderbirds discussion. On basketball, you get yourself poised. You finish out second in the district this year in the conference play, and you find yourself going through the district tournament there and getting into the regional tournament, into the regional semifinal game. And as a former coach, that was probably the hardest game to win, to get yourself into that. It's do or die. Get yourself into the sub-state game. There's a lot of pressure on you guys. You're playing Hillsboro. You get beat in overtime, 55-62. We were just talking about off the air. There was the one play at the end of regulation. There's a shot that was hit, and to tie it up, I forget, there was like 2 seconds, 3 seconds left, maybe even less than that. And Hillsboro takes the ball out of bounds, under the basket, throws it in. You're guarding the point guard.
Right.
The ball bounces twice, goes out on the sideline, and nobody touches the ball.
Yeah.
So by the bylaws, you're supposed to get the ball under the basket. Franklin is.
Yes.
Instead, you get it on the sideline. I know that Coach calls timeout. You guys draw up the play. Get a good-looking shot. Do you remember the shot that you?
Actually, the pass was missed, so we did not put up a shot.
I apologize. Okay. All right. So then you get into overtime.
Right. And
the turnover happens. You get into overtime, and then end up losing there 55-62 to a good Hillsboro team who also got themselves in the state tournament. I would have loved to have seen, if you got the ball into the basket with the size that you guys have, probably getting fouled, going to the free throw line, or making a shot, chance to win and getting yourselves in the state tournament. I know that would have been an awesome run.
Fun.
We have the WCTV Play of the Week where you received a pass from Booth Page and Garrison Matthews on a nice outlet. Watch this clip. We'll be right back.
Again, 2-3 zone by Franklin.
Matthews stole it.
Yeah, he fought around that screen.
Page with a
Here
nice
he comes,
pass.
Critchlow.
Great job all around by all three of those young men. Franklin leads by 4, 5:33.
Take us through that play real quick.
I really feel like that play kind of personifies how my strategy the whole year. I was very, very much a transition player, and Garrison, of course, makes a play, and Booth makes an incredible pass. That was actually a win. We won by 1 point against Centennial at home, which is a fun time for me and my friends.
You really do, and I noticed that early on in the season when I first got a chance to see you play that. You got a lot of runouts. I mean, it's a smart play. Some people might say, "Oh, he's cherry picking, doing whatever you got to do." But what you're doing is you're watching defense. If your guys have got the rebound, why wait, right?
Right.
So I mean, it's like almost a little bit of a cross between, because I kind of put you in the same view as Dennis Rodman, and I tell you why. Not just on the rebounding side, but the way you are a knack around the basket, getting those trash points.
Yes,
and there's nothing wrong with that, man. That's a good thing, you know.
That was my game.
And then a little bit of Kevin Love in there on that pass. You know, there's a lot of things in there. You're a great player for a coach to have because, one, you're a leader on the floor and off the floor. Number two, you're smart. You don't have to explain the game to you, and you got a lot of things that are those intangibles. So that, you know, you finish out the year 16-14, Franklin High basketball team. So moves us into the Wilcos. Wilcos at the end of the year. You were up for 2 different awards, Male Athlete of the Year and Football Player of the Year. That's congratulations on that. Tell us real quick about your experience about that. What do you think about the inaugural Wilcos and being up for Male Athlete of the Year?
I thought it was a great honor. I felt like the 4 people up for the Male Athlete of the Year was an incredible crew. And just sitting with them the whole time, just listening to their stories and how about their years and their future plans was very interesting, fun.
So that concludes your high school career. Now we're moving into the next phase of your life, which is very interesting, guy. Southern Utah Thunderbirds come knock and offer you, and you sign with those guys. Coach Lamb, take us through that process of how they first got interested in you and to now.
Actually, the recruiting process is very complex and kind of chaotic for me. I know that I went to a lot of camps, had a lot of people interested, a lot of people backed off. But actually, when I was at a football camp in Utah, is when Southern Utah got an eye on me. Their Coach Lamb, and actually Coach Croton played for the same coach as my dad did, so he knew him from that connection back in when they played college. So it was they offered me very quickly, and I ended up I remember committing 2 days before signing and then signed. So it was
well, I remember you were mentioning that the offensive coordinator, Coach Croton, he's also formerly of LSU in Oregon, so he brings a lot to the table as far as the offensive coordinator thing side of things go. There were 2 quarterbacks signed this year for the Thunderbirds, you and another guy that's going to be starting his college career this year. You will not be starting your college career
Correct.
this year because of?
I will actually be serving an LDS mission, which is my church, and so I'll be gone 2 years in Montreal, Canada, and that's what I'll be serving. And then I'll return, so I'm basically a 2017 recruit, and whereas the person who signed this year is a 2015.
So is Southern Utah an LDS affiliated school?
They are actually not. Southern Utah and University of Utah and Utah State are public schools in Utah.
Okay.
And so they operate the same way as, say, UT or Memphis does.
So help me understand, like BYU, for instance, that is an LDS affiliated school. So when they come in there, it's automatic that they usually do the two-year mission trip, or
it
not?
It is likely, but I would only say about 60 or 70% of the people actually serve. The decision to serve a mission is solely based on if I wanted to go or if I did not. And so it's a choice that I made, which me deciding to go on a mission, I decided before my junior year, which made the recruiting process very difficult for me.
So, and I can see, I mean, on the other side of the coaching side that are not affiliated or even knowledgeable about the LDS, and they come in and say, hey, man, we love you as a quarterback, and you're going, look, that's great, I appreciate it, but I'm going to do this, and they're like, hands up. Is that kind of way it worked?
It gave me a lot of extra baggage for sure, and making me a 2017 made me a very complicated recruit. And so it was difficult during the recruiting process, being recruited because you didn't know when to tell them, and after you tell them, it became difficult because they didn't know if they were going to be there in 2017.
Well, you know what? I don't necessarily. Baggage is not the word. I understand what you're talking about. Process, and,
Yes,
and I commend you on your maturity, your responsibility at that age, early on, even not this year, but before going into this process. You're like, look, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I've been called to do. So, you're going to go to Montreal, Canada.
Correct.
You're going to have to learn French.
Yes.
Tell us about that. I mean, is that have you already started?
I took 2 years in high school, but it's kind of a running joke in my school how horribly I spoke. But actually, July 8th is when I report for my missions when I leave, and that's in 2 weeks. But I will go 6 weeks to the Mission Training Center before I go to Canada, and that's where I'll learn French and a little bit more.
So, in the mission trip, for those that don't know, you were telling me it's not exactly it's not a vacation. You're going to work. You're going to work for your church. You're going to you got called to do that, and when you go, the communication is somewhat not as fluent as it is right now, right? I mean, you can only call a certain amount of times because you're focused on your work. So, when you go to, have you ever been out of the country?
I have, yes.
Okay, so it won't be your first trip out of the country, but you're going up there. What are some concerns, or maybe those things that you're one excited about, and two you're a little bit nervous about?
Well, I'll be living by myself, and I'll actually have a companion with me who's just another kid doing the same thing I am. I'll room with him, but it will be nervous paying for everything myself, doing my meals, washing my clothes. It's basically that I will be living by myself.
Welcome to the real world, my friend.
Yes, exactly.
Welcome, but you'll be all right. But see, that'll all come to an end in 2 years when you get to play varsity. So you'll have somebody there taking care of your gear for you, have your gear set up. It'll be back to being old Pampered Joe, man. Come on now. But this will be good for you. Now, give me a little bit of the groundwork leading up to this. What age does the LDS usually start this transition, or when do you said 2 years ago, so there's probably some groundwork laid, right, for this?
Correct. Both of my parents actually served on missions. My dad served in the Philippines, and my mom served in Scotland. And so how it works is I grew up in the church. I've been Mormon my entire life, but you can make a decision whenever you'd like. You can serve a mission as soon as you turn 18 years old and graduate high school. So I made the choice around. In middle school, I kind of thought that I wanted to go, but before junior year is when I made the choice that I was going to go and I was going to serve. So just that process was obviously just studying up a little bit more on what I'll be teaching, but there's no really school or training before you leave.
So Coach Lamb, I'm just assuming, being out there in Southern Utah, was somewhat familiar with the process of going on a mission.
So.
Didn't have a problem. They went and signed you. You know, when I look at this down the road, you're going to be a 20-year-old freshman starting for them. That has a lot of benefits. That has a lot of upside to it. Maturity, intelligence, not getting rattled. What are you going to do to stay in shape over this 2-year mission?
It will be I'll be personally responsible for keeping myself in shape. I know that when I'm on the mission, I'll have 1 day a week to do my essentials, to email back home, to buy groceries, and that day I'll work on my game a little bit. But each and every day I'll do a little bit of something to keep myself in shape.
Well, just looking real briefly over the Thunderbirds' schedule here this upcoming year, have some big games against Utah State. They do compete in the Big Sky Conference. Went 3-9 last year. You're going to change that here in 2 years. I can't wait to watch it. Unfortunately, they don't have those schedules out for 2 years, but I'm sure our viewers and myself will be interested to see who the Southern Utah Thunderbirds will play. Briefly, before we go off air, tell me real quick, what can you take from Franklin High School, the coaching staff, with you into the future?
One great thing I learned from Franklin is the work ethic that you have to have if you want to see the results. And so something I really learned from my basketball coaches and my football coaches is how to work hard and to be prepared to succeed or win, as in the case of when I played. And one thing that I'll miss the most is my friends, the class of 2015 brothers I had, the friends at school, and of course the teachers and the families that I've been involved with here.
Well, Joe, I greatly appreciate you being on the air with us today. I wish you the best of luck in your mission and in your college career.
Thank you.
Joe Critchlow, formerly of Franklin High School. I'm Jeremy Qualls, your co-host here for WCS Sports Connection Game Day. We'll see you next time.